痛みを感じろ。痛みを考えろ。痛みを受け取れ。痛みを知れ。痛みを知らぬ者に本当の平和は分からん。弥彦の痛みを忘れない。ここより世界に痛みを神羅転生。
One of the greatest lines and moments in anime history, am I right? Like, Pain was really on to something when he said that. Now, wasn't he? You could verbally agree with me if you want to. Nod your head if you agree.
Since childhood, we've been through pain. The pain of growing the muscles to learn how to walk, struggling to eat with a fork, pissing yourself and throwing yourself off the bed in the middle of the night. Or me, climbing out of my crib and throwing myself onto the floor because I thought climbing shit was cool.
But what about before that?
Here, this baby, never having experienced the evil that is lurking on the outside, still being fed, sheltered, and nurtured all in her mother's womb, happy as can be, having gone through no hardships of her own, everything being handed down to her.
Does not deserve to go to heaven. You're probably thinking, why would he make such a crazy statement? And to that, I say, why would we make such a crazy statement? And you might be thinking, we? Who's we? Would you agree with me? Earlier in that video, when you said, oh yeah, what Pain said was facts, you agreed. Now, let's take a closer look at what you agreed with earlier. Pain was really on to something when he said that. Now, wasn't he? You could verbally agree with me if you want to. Nod your head if you agree. You agree with me. You signed the fine print. You basically told me that I could do as I please with these babies.
Pause.
And heaven is definitely not where I'm taking them.
But I know you're wondering,
how does me agreeing with Pain's philosophy have anything to do with the salvation of babies?
think, y'all, think. The idea that you must understand true pain to receive true peace eternal? Think. Only then, when you've been through hell and back, would you never want anyone else to experience the kind of pain that you went through?
What if babies never experienced? They would not be able to understand the majesty of heaven, causing them to create hardships and wars within heaven, same way Satan did all them years back.
Is war as old as gravity?
Upon this, one has to remark that men ought to be crushed totally, because they can avenge themselves of lighter injuries. Of more serious ones, they cannot. Therefore, the injury that is to be done to a man ought to be of such a kind that one does not stand in fear of revenge. To say the least, for everyone to live in harmony, we must understand the suffering that we can cause each other.
Babies, not understanding said suffering then, under the philosophy of pain, deserve not to see the pearly gates. They have not suffered sufficiently to guarantee that they would not cause said suffering to others.
Obviously, under the assumption that we would be ourselves in heaven, not adhering to any specific religious heaven, but the one where there are adaptations or accommodations, and so that everyone can live in peace, but still have enough faculties to have the knowledge of good and evil. Then we would use the sentiment that we only love something because at a period there was a lack of said something.
Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you love her when you let her go.
And you let her go. The only way for me to be happy is to be sad or have been sad. This is called hedonic contrasts. You can only feel the intensity of one state, joy, warmth, love, by experiencing its opposite, sorrow, cold, absence. Pleasure is basically the relief of pain or lack. So you know joy mainly because you felt its opposite. Babies have never experienced the snow to be able to enjoy the sun. That would cause hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. You've heard that before, but what are they really saying? It's saying that the suffering of men creates peace. And guess where the ultimate peace is? Therefore, if heaven is peaceful and only the righteous go to heaven, it would be wrongtious for us to not have suffered enough. Because, like the pain example, turmoil would be created. This is not a new concept.
Go ahead and do this. But if you do so, be prepared no longer to be rulers, but rather subjects. For soft lands breed soft men, and wondrous fruit of the earth and valiant warriors do not grow from the same soil.
Safe from war and used to a life of luxury, men would become soft, weak, and cowardly. They would no longer be willing or able to fight to protect themselves and others. In other words, moralists believe that comfort and wealth were enemies of masculinity itself, and, by extension, of civilized life. This stark phrase perfectly sums up this philosophy in which masculinity, or the need to understand pain, is the guarantor of all good things, but is also permanently in crisis as it constantly plants the seeds of its own destruction. I'll let you think about that one for a second.
Each of us lives dependent and bound by our individual knowledge and our awareness. All that is what we call reality. We all live inside our own fantasies.
But what does all this truly mean? Can we quantify this suffering? And is there any meaning in said suffering? Nah, suffering's meaningless.